So the early panelists mentioned one thing about the audience. We haven't get used to raise your hands, right? So I doubt it. I believe this audience. So let's do some exercise. How about that? So how many of you have ever played one single mobile game? Raise your left hand. Just one game. Keep it up. All right. Here you go. All right. Now, how many of you ever play League of Legends? Raise both of your hands. Both of your hands. League of Legends. All right. Great. So that's a good exercise. So I'm actually, I was an amateur semi-pro League of Legends player for playing the support role. I love games. So today I'm going to talk about one way to marketing your mobile games by your different perspective. We define it as cross-channel marketing platforms. And as you know today, we heard about different way to marketing your campaigns, your games, and most of you know that in many different countries, there's a lot of local channels that you like to work with, and there's a different methodology that you can marketing your games. So we're going to focus on ROI and return of investment from marketing perspective. How do we define returns? So let's talk about it next. So about Madhouse. Madhouse has been 9 years, starting as a branding mobile agency, and in the last 9 years, we only focus on mobile. As a branding agency for starting the first 3 years, and later on we moved to the last 5 years, expand to performance mobile marketings. And for mobile game particularly, we focus on globalizations. We help all the game developer and operational marketing bodies to promote it across regions, across all the countries. We partner with many different regional channels, and we partner with a good tracking company. Good example is F's Flyers. And we directly working with all these good partners as an aggregation format. So consider us to the clients, we are the agency model as a one single stop shops. And to the media channel, we work with all different medias. And we stay as a very win-win model that we're not focused on we are the best in this region. We trust each of the region has their specialties, their media, cultural difference, and their audience. And we believe on our advertiser, the game developer, and the operators, they know their audience better. So let's see how we can collaborate. We have a dedicated build platform called PerformMad. Mad is the Madhouse mobile advertising. So we focus on return of investment only as how we optimize these platforms. For last 9 years, especially last 5 years, focus on performing side as well, and globally for our campaign. As you see, we have a large presence on different regions of the countries. And the red star are the large, scalable country that we've been marketing campaign at. Those are more than $1 million to $5 million. The circle one is the one that lasts than $1 million. So it's a lot of scale that we accumulate last few years, and we are able to reach over $50 million US dollar spending already for a year. People ask about the Madhouse, MAD, what does that mean? Mobile advertising. At the same time, we want to make a difference. So what are the difference between our cross-channel marketing platform as compared to many other different marketing partners that you've been heard about, right? So as mentioned, one key thing, we are a cross-channel marketing platform. We believe on each of the channel in each region. They have their specialties and their know-how. At the same time, we believe on advertisers, the game developer and operator. They know their game better. Me, myself are gamers, and we know different games, different stage. They have different return of the investment goals. So let's do an exercise again. For those that are game developers, if you don't mind to raise your hand, please. Game developers, please. Okay, here you go. Keep it up. Do you believe one of the game that you develop at the stage of you are trying out, you want to focus on marketing to tweaking your games to make sure that your game's design in the early stage of deployment is more for getting what the user like to play the games. At the same time, all the game design is in a way they're able to make the user progression smoothly, right? So that's in the early stage of the game. And in some case, in one single game, there's different category, different content, different mechanic that you want to try different things. So that's one goal. In another case, in a different stage of the game, for example, it's already an extreme mature game. I used to work in GRI, the Japanese mobile game leaders, together with Dinas and others, a couple to mention. Some of the majority of the large-scale users in their top hot hit games, they're already mature and has a lot of audience. As you know, earlier it was debating either just for money, the paying user, versus, they are very loyal, they're just playing for free. Are those able to be discriminate in their audience value? Not necessary. At the end of mature games, it's easy to recognize that both the paying user has direct revenue value. At the same time, the loyal user that never pay, they still have their significant user value. Some game, as you earlier mentioned, that some of the panel mentioned, right? The reason some of the player, they pay because there's a lot of the rest of the audience play together, even though the rest they don't pay, they are able to have an equilibrium of that value, that the paying user is getting something they want to show off, they want to win against a lot of other people. So the loss of other people is part of the economy. We believe that you define the return of your marketing in different stage of the game differently. For example, in the middle of the stage, you want to tweaking how each of the engagement factor stickiness of the games, right? So a lot of time when we focus on advertisers, the game developer and the game operators, you have your own interests. We want to listen to you and able to let you define your return of investment. Either in some early stage, you want to just focus on your advertising is just purely for install and getting some initial A/B testing, or either you want to get to the middle stage, you want to make sure that you want to tweaking their engagement, or you want to get into the last stage of some of the paying user, you want to make sure that you're monetizing in better efficient way. At the same time, the larger non-paying audience, how you mix it up and make sure they continue to have a balanced economy. So these are all your know-hows. We trust your know-hows. At the same time, we have able to build the systems, leverage on how our many years of audience learnings to see how all those audience, some of them, they are not a very quality install, not a very engaged users, and depending on your ROI goals, right? If your return goal is for engaging, so we can define in a way that those non-qualifying or non-quality users, even though they come in and install the game, but they are not sticky enough, they are not able to engage longer, not loyal, we are able to distribute it among different media, different channel, and able to focus more towards your goal. And we call it quality control, and some of them are even fraud, right? We detect the fraud download, and some of the channel has some media that are doing some improper download behavior. We detect it, and we're able to control and adjust the budget away as well. So we focus on cross-channel optimization as the goal, but how we define the ROI optimization has one of the examples we can show. So the scheme of deployment, by the way, is very simple. As we know earlier, F-Flyers has offered, they all have a very simple tracking mechanism for especially easy install tracking attributions. For us, we have a complement tracking on the addition to what F-Flyer and has offer. We also provide an advertiser interest, a more customized late funnel tracking. So after you track your install and some of the engagement, you want to track a very deeper, either some special engaging behavior, or either you want to track some paying behavior, transactional behavior. For those, we do a deep funnel tracking as a complement. So a lot of advertisers, they are able to using both, right? For example, F-Flyers and our own performance trackings together. So what the data coming in is able to give us ROI optimization. And the tracking, you can put our performing late funnel tracking code together, very similar to any existing tracking codes. And you're able to launch your campaign through us across all different regions, over 200 partners that we're going to show you. And then once we get those late funnel transactional or either late deep engagement effect across all the channels, we're going to do cross-channel budget allocation and optimizations. We're going to tell more in a bit. We work with many regions as, again, we are cross-channel, cross-regional globalization marketing platforms. We trust each of the region. They have all their leading players that have know-how on how to marketing the campaign effectively, right? So we work with all those partners, including the predominant this one and, across there's more. Example of how we do cross-channel ROI, assuming one way you define ROI, as we mentioned, differently, right? Each game developer and different game at different stage, you define your return value differently. For example, if you're looking at the actual paying revenue portion, some of the game operator, they only operate to publish a game at the late stage that just want to, especially some large Chinese operator, they focus on revenue, short-term focus, right? So that kind of definition is okay. And if that is example, that's also a good example to talk about is let's say they come to us, we are able to market their campaign across all those channels. And in real time, we're able to see how those return different among different channels. So consider us as a global marketing platforms. You guys work with us. We're able to help you distribute all the marketing budget across all the regions. And in real time, we're able to see all the regions, how their return is different. And again, the ROI define is working with you to figure out how you're going to define it, either by revenue or by a ratio of revenue, or either by how engaging stickiness, how the action is. Or some of them even by, I just want to check the download and activation, right? So that's okay as well. So you define ROI, we listen to your goal, and then we're able to track across globally all the channel in real time, how they are different. So the yellow part of the bar is the ROI value. And each of the group is one different channels. For example, Mo Partner, Facebook, AdWords, Emobi, Millennium Medias, right? So all these channels across globally, there could be more, but just for example, and the blue bar is actually the spending budget, right? For example, you start with a simple A/B test with a good scale. Let's say they are all about 20% of your budget equally, just for example, say equally distributed to that 7 channels, 7 regions. And then based on the real-time feedback on the attribution that we provided earlier, the late funnel trackings, we're able to figure out how much paying value on each of the users coming in from each different channel. As you see, Facebook getting more quality users for the same budget, same 20% of your budget. So the yellow part of the bar in Facebook is the highest one, and the next one is, these are just example, by the way, so not to try to share a different quality of each different channel, and different campaign have different, right? So as you see, at this particular campaign, this example, Facebook has the highest quality return on the same level of the spending. And as compared to other channel, then you're able to see which channel bring you better ROI. So what's the thing we're going to do next? In real time, we're able to adjust the budget across regionally, all these 200 partners that we work with, right? So how do you think about acrossing the channel and when we move the budget across, right? For example, the lower ROIs, we are able to, hold on. So the lower ROI, we're able to decrease their budgets, and the higher ROI, we're able to increase their budget in real time. So at the end, we're able to achieve overall cross-channel wise a highest ROI as the total global campaigns. By the way, again, there's different stage, different way to measure the ROI, just to emphasize that. If you want to track just the new user, the new activation, that's cool. That's what we respect, that you know better on your games. So if you want to look at the left side, if you want to track just the new user, the new activation coming in, we can do that too. If you want to look at the engaging and stickiness stage, you want to look at the payment stage, they're all able to track it detailedly. There's one of the customer is actually able to track us. It is actually not games. There's one customer even just a tool. But this particular tool is fairly new to the market. And they want to tune the tools to make sure that there's different stage of progressing on each of the user. They are able to learn all those data and make sure they retweaking design this app in a better way. So what they do is, in the engaging tracking, they let us mark over a dozen marking point of the progressions. And we are able to gather all these 12 stage across all 20 channels that we market across globally. And we're able to learn that, well, for India, that countries, most of the user is able to progressing in a different way as compared to China and Italy. So we found that 3 different regions, the audience culture, how they're progressing on that apps or that games is totally different. And this information is able to lead them to later on changing the actual design in the late stage of their games, changing the apps, different design to make sure that there's some regional audience difference. And some of the game that when you develop and design a game, it might also put in consideration on such that in a very good engaging marketing platform, it gives you additional data that you can use it either in fine-tune the late upgrade of this game or another game that you're going to design, right? Another things that we want to bring example is a simple cross-channel global campaign is, okay, you know, Facebook, Google, CPC, and you give a CPI dollar to all the same 20 regions, the same 50 partners, right? So let's say give them all CPI, you know, about, let's say $2 for each CPI or such, right? But let me ask you, is that true that earlier mentioned one of the panels, all the audience in different channel, in different region, they have the same spending power? Certainly not, right? Or the same behavior on how they engage on the games? Certainly not. And if so, if you put the same price, the same CPI price across all the region, all those 50 channels, is that optimum to make sure you get the maximum value on your total audience, on your total new users? That's not. For example, if certain CPI price is setting too high or too low, that is not able to optimize for that particular region. For example, people in Italy as compared to India, as compared to Indonesia and China, the user value on acquisition, momentums, and the equilibrium of the price is different. So blindly simply putting a single price across all region, all different channel is not a way to optimize your campaign. How do we do that? We're able to, as earlier mentioned, right, we're able to track in different channel how we can adjust the CPI price. And you use that cost as well as the new tracking value coming back. If it's a payment, you're using the payment ratio and the CPI price to calculate the actual return of investment. And then you're able to adjust the actual spending to see, in particular, how you're going to adjust different region on how you grow the total user values. Some of the region you want to adjust in the more strategic ways. For example, you want to tackle you already saturate on the APAC regions. APAC audience is certainly, you've been marketing those type of campaign a lot. You want to grow those in the Western Europe region, your new game, new genre, a special mix of the new subgenre. You want to really putting a lot of strategic investment to that region. So you are not really forcing on the same ROI absolute value. For example, in Italy, in Spain, you want to really give them a discount or an incentive to really play and learn that mechanic, right? So at this point, you can define Italy or Spain in a different return ratio for us. And for us, we don't have to know how you define it, right? If you want to give Italy or Spain in a more bang of the buck, for example, the actual spend in dollar amount is actually able to scale up with your regional factors. At the end, when we get this return of investment, we're getting your final defined value. even though in Spain or in Italy, you are defined in the way that in a different ratio than China or India, that's okay, right? So at the end, we're looking at how you define different region, allow different user value scale. That's first, right? And then how you define your games stage in a different stage of the marketing, either paying stage or either engaging stage or either just activation. That's okay too. So you can define all those in your ratio, your definition across different stage, different region, and we are able to calculate how, as comparison, they get to the total ROI of your campaigns. So as mentioned, based on this, we are able to do real-time global cross-channel optimizations. As mentioned, we work with predominant all the leading advertisers, game developer operators, and especially in China. And those are names you certainly recognize. We want to continue that model, and we believe that continue to partner with each region, each channel, each of their different know-how on how to marketing each channel, and we're able to aggregate them to this global cross-channel marketing platform. And we serve advertisers, we listen to them, and we're able to find out different way to define their ROI. And together in this ecosystem, we focus on that win-win. We believe that is the direction we can help out everybody. All right, so once again, thanks again. We have the booth outside. I'm Clement, I'm the CPO of Madhouse, and looking forward to see you. Thank you.